Hello, my beautiful warrior souls and my magnificent fiery Aries. Welcome back to Astrology Unlocked. I am your guide on this cosmic journey. And if you are tuning in right now, I have a feeling it is because you have felt it. That subtle, frustrating friction in your spirit. It's that feeling of being a powerful, unstoppable force of nature, yet somehow you feel tethered. You're revving your engine, ready to charge forward, but something unseen is holding you back. We are here today to talk about something truly extraordinary, something that could be the key to unlocking the incredible momentum you've been seeking. We're going to talk about a vibrational anchor in your home. Yes, an object silently, quietly, draining your fire and preventing you from stepping into the next glorious chapter of your destiny. And what you may not realize is that the very moment you identify and remove this anchor, the entire energetic flow of your life is poised to shift in the most miraculous and powerful of ways. A single, decisive act of release could shatter the karmic chains and ignite a brand new cycle of victory just for you, dear Aries. In this journey together, you will discover why an object that seems completely harmless is actually keeping you bound to old battles and past frustrations, and how you can decisively reclaim your power, creating a sacred space for passion, prosperity, and pure, unfiltered light to flood into your life. Now, before we dive deeper, take a moment to really tune in with your soul. Have you been feeling like you're running and running, yet somehow staying in the same place? Like you're giving everything you've got, your time, your energy, your heart, but the results just don't seem to match your effort? My dear Aries, I want you to know it's not your fault. The universe sees how hard you've been trying. And sometimes that pause you're feeling isn't a punishment, it's divine redirection. So, before we move forward, I'd love for you to drop in the comments what brings you good luck. It could be your pet, a cherished object, or even your lucky numbers. Let's fill this space with energy that radiates positivity, abundance, and magic. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our growing Astrology Unlocked family. You won't want to miss what the cosmos has in store for your incredible journey ahead. Let's begin by exploring a feeling that is so familiar to the Aries spirit, the feeling of a dimmed fire in your own sacred space. When an Aries soul starts to feel its inner flame flicker, it is never a random occurrence. It is a profound signal from your intuition, a message from a place far deeper than logic can ever reach. You might not even be able to name it. It's not quite sadness, and it's not just stress. It is a vague, almost infuriating sense of creative and spiritual stagnation. It's as if the very air in your home, which should be charged with your vibrant energy, has become thick, heavy, and uninspired. I have always believed that an Aries is the only sign in the zodiac that can truly feel the potential of a space. You don't need words. You step into a room and your soul instantly knows if it is a launch pad for greatness or a cage of complacency. Your spirit is so attuned to forward momentum that it can feel the invisible energetic drag, the vibrational friction that exists in the quiet energy field of your home. And that, my dear friends, is why you begin to feel that inner fire dimming. Your living space, which should be your sanctuary, your command center for planning your next victory, is instead reflecting something that is holding you back, something that is energetically out of alignment. A living space is never just four walls and a ceiling. For you, Aries, it is a physical manifestation of your inner drive, a tangible map of your ambition. This is where your spiritual transformation begins, when you dare to look at the invisible forces that others might dismiss. When your inner self is still energetically tied to a past battle, an old wound, or a frustrating defeat, the objects around you will hum with that very same energy. Have you ever walked into your own room, a space you designed, and suddenly felt like it belonged to someone else? Perhaps a stranger who has lost their fight. Look around you. Those old trophies from a victory that now feels hollow. Gifts from a person who tried to control your spirit. Souvenirs from a trip that ended in disappointment. They are still there. They sit in silence. But my friends, they are breathing an old, stagnant energy. And you, Aries, can feel it, even if you've been trying to push that feeling down. I once spoke with an Aries man, a brilliant entrepreneur who felt his business had hit an unmovable wall. In his office, on a prominent shelf, was a framed award from a former company. He had left that company after a bitter betrayal where his ideas were stolen. He kept the award as a reminder of his talent, but every time he looked at it, he felt a flash of that old, powerless anger. That object, meant to symbolize success, was actually a vibrational anchor to his deepest moment of professional pain. It was unconsciously tethering his current ventures to the energy of betrayal. Objects tied to memories of powerlessness are pulling your warrior soul back to a timeline that no longer serves you. And when there is no room for the energy of a new victory, the energy of an old defeat, no matter how deeply buried, remains. Your heart doesn't just store ambition, dear Aries. It absorbs the energetic frequency of your environment. An object that is a fond memory for another sign might be a spiritual prison for you, because you don't just see things with your eyes. You perceive them with your spirit, with your gut instinct, with a primal knowing that few others possess. This is why you must begin to listen to the energy of your home. What is it truly telling you? Is there a small object, perhaps tucked away, that triggers a flash of irritation every time you see it? An object that seems innocent, but reminds you of a time you felt weak, or a person you allowed to have power over you. A gift you once accepted, but now realize came with energetic strings attached. Maybe it's an old piece of clothing from a past relationship, a stopped watch from a project that failed, a book from someone you no longer respect. Whatever it is, if every time you see it, you feel a subtle drain on your energy, a dip in your motivation, that is your intuition screaming a warning. And an Aries should never, ever ignore their primal instincts. You might ask, can one small object really hold me back that much? The answer is a resounding yes, and it already has. Because physical items carry an energetic imprint, especially when they were given or acquired during a time of conflict, submission, or unresolved anger. There are objects marked by jealousy, by control, by the regret of a battle lost. When they are in your home, they become a dissonant chord in your energetic symphony. I am not telling you this to create fear. I am telling you this so you can begin to recognize your own power. And from recognition, you can begin the act of liberation. This doesn't require a complex ceremony. Sometimes, all it takes is to stand before the object, take a deep, powerful breath, and declare, the lesson is learned, the battle is over, and I reclaim my power now. And then you decisively remove the item from your home. Not with anger, but with the cool, calm certainty of a victorious general. You are ready to charge into a new chapter, and a new chapter cannot begin while the relics of old wars are still on display. Remember this, dear Aries, you are not a victim of your past. You are the warrior who dares to heal by taking decisive action. And every healing journey begins with something as simple as clearing a corner of your home, of putting down one energetic weapon that has been turned against you. And then the very space around you will feel lighter because your soul is sending a signal to the cosmos. It's time. It's time for my triumphant return. There are objects that don't glow or vibrate in any obvious way, yet they have held your warrior spirit captive for years in a silence so profound it can stifle your brightest fire. Aries, sometimes what keeps you from charging into your future isn't some grand karmic debt. It is simply an old object, sitting in a familiar corner that has never stopped whispering about a time you did not win. I've done so many tarot readings for powerful souls who felt inexplicably blocked. They come to me, their eyes filled with a fiery frustration, and say, I don't understand. I have the drive, the vision, the strength, but I feel like I'm fighting with one hand tied behind my back. And then, when the cards are laid out, a card like the Devil appears, not as a sign of evil, but as a symbol of bondage to something material, something from the past. Or perhaps the Ten of Wands, representing a burden you have carried for so long, you've forgotten it's not yours to carry. These cards often point directly to an object they had long dismissed, an item from an ex who was controlling, a gift from a jealous rival, a piece of inherited furniture from a family line filled with struggle. We often think of cursed objects as things from horror movies, imbued with dark spells. But what I have learned through thousands of readings is this: the most potent curses are not born of magic, but of untransmuted energy. Memories of powerlessness, if not illuminated by the wisdom of the warrior, become energetic anchors. And Aries, you don't need to be a psychic to feel this. You only need to be brutally honest with yourself. Think about an object you still possess, not because you love it, but because getting rid of it feels like admitting defeat. A piece of jewelry from a relationship where you lost yourself. A piece of art you bought during a time of deep financial struggle, which now subtly radiates an energy of lack. An old jersey from a team you were on where you were unfairly benched. All of these objects in themselves are neutral, but they no longer belong in the energy field of the victor you are becoming. I once met an Aries woman, a brilliant artist whose creativity had completely dried up. She came to me on the eve of a new moon, holding a beautiful, ornate silver mirror. It was a gift from her mother-in-law, a woman who had always subtly criticized her career choice, constantly hinting that she should have a more stable life. She kept the mirror because it was expensive and beautiful, a peace offering. But every time she looked into it, she didn't see herself. She saw the faint reflection of disapproval. Her creative studio, her sacred space, had a portal of judgment hanging right on the wall. I said only one thing: you are allowing the ghost of someone else's fear to judge your creative fire. In the silence, her frustration turned into a flash of recognition. Aries, you understand this feeling, don't you? Holding on to something not because it brings you joy, but because you refuse to let a past situation have the final say. But do you know that true victory isn't about holding on? It's about having the strength to declare something over. An energetic anchor doesn't need a spell chanted over it. It only needs to carry a fragment of negative, disempowering energy, jealousy, control, regret, failure, and that is enough to create a knot in the energetic grid of your life, blocking the flow of your natural power. Sometimes the person who gave you the item had no conscious ill intent, but if they gave it to you from a place of their own lack, their own fear, or their own jealousy of your incredible light, that object absorbed their energy. Matter has memory. It stores emotional frequencies. And if you, Aries, a being of pure, dynamic energy, keep such an item in your space, you will constantly be fighting against a vibrational current that is not your own. Are you keeping an object because you can't bear to admit that someone got the better of you? That is not strength. That is energetic bondage. You have the right, the duty, to liberate yourself. No one can win your battles for you. You must be the one to take the first, decisive step. I want to ask you, my beautiful Aries, would you dare to discard an item right now if you knew, with absolute certainty, it was the very thing tethering you to a lesser version of yourself? If the answer is a roaring yes inside your soul, leave a fire emoji in the comments below. You don't have to name the item, just claim your intention. That is the first signal to the universe that the warrior is awake. Because right after this, I will show you how to recognize the clear, undeniable signs that this object is silently draining your power. It doesn't glow or shake, but the spiritual signs are showing up in your life right now. Prepare yourself for an awakening of pure, untamable fire. There are moments you walk into your own home, and it feels like you've entered a rival's territory. A space that should feel like yours suddenly feels foreign. Everything is in its place. The light is the same, but something in the atmosphere feels off. It makes your shoulders tense, your jaw clench. For an Aries, this is the first and most crucial sign. An object in your home is holding an energy that is in direct opposition to your own. It is not pure, and it is not powerful. Ancient wisdom teaches us that everything carries a life force, an energy, a vibration. An item created with passion and joy radiates a powerful, uplifting frequency. An item given with envy, a desire to control, or quiet resentment will forever carry the residue of that intention. Even if the person is long gone from your life, even if you've intellectually moved on, the object still remembers. It still lives. It still whispers its limiting intention into the invisible realm of your home. The tarot has taught me that the soul of an object is the energy the giver imbued it with. And not every gift is given from a pure heart. Some gifts are sent not to bless, but to bind, not to celebrate, but to control. And Aries, with a spirit as pure and direct as a lightning bolt, you will be the first to feel this clash of energies, even if you can't logically explain it. Have you ever looked at an object in your house and felt an instant irrational flash of anger or fatigue, not because it's ugly, but because it feels weak? It feels like a compromise. It might be an antique from an ancestor whose life was full of struggle, a piece of art from an artist known for their torment, an item from a source you don't fully know. But every time you pass it, you feel your energy dip. You feel like something is silently challenging your authority in your own space. That is not your imagination. That is the first spiritual sign for a warrior. Because you, Aries, have a sacred gift. You don't just see with your eyes, you feel with your entire being. Let me tell you the story of an Aries woman, a powerful executive living in a beautiful apartment she had earned through sheer force of will. After a contentious divorce, She had received a large, ornate grandfather clock as part of the settlement. Her ex-husband had always been condescending about her sense of time and her ambitious schedule. She never wound the clock, but it sat in her living room, a silent monument to a past power struggle. She suffered from chronic migraines and a persistent feeling that she was running out of time, no matter how much she accomplished. One day, when I read tarot for her, I drew the tower reversed, a sign of avoiding a necessary collapse. I asked her about the clock. She said it was a reminder that she had won it in the divorce. I advised her that it was actually a constant, ticking reminder of a time she felt controlled and belittled. I urged her to decisively remove it from her home. She sold it the next day. Within a week, her migraines vanished. She told me, "For the first time in years, I feel like I am the master of my own time again." That is the power of an object holding toxic, oppositional energy. You cannot see the vibration with your naked eye, but it manifests as unexplained fatigue, creative blocks, a persistent feeling of being challenged, or a sense of inner conflict in your own sanctuary. You might be living with a ghost of a past battle you have chosen to keep as a trophy. Ask yourself these questions, Aries. Is there an item in your home that feels heavy, not in weight, but in spirit? Is there a gift you received from someone you competed with, or someone who was secretly jealous of you? Is there an object that reminds you of a time of failure, one you've never had the courage to truly move past? If you nodded to any of these, it is time to listen to your soul's battle cry. You may be living in a beautiful fortress, but surrounded by energetic saboteurs. And that is what is stopping you from conquering your next kingdom. The clearest signs that an object is energetically compromising you are: 1. You feel drained, irritable, or unmotivated when you are near it. 2. You find yourself procrastinating on important goals, especially when in the room where the object is located. 3. Strange incidents of conflict or arguments happen frequently around it. 4. Your intuition, that fiery gut feeling, screams, "Something is not right here," every time you look at it. Aries, you do not have to understand everything. You just need to trust your warrior's instinct. Your soul is the most accurate compass you will ever have, and if it is telling you something is off, do not ignore it. This is not about superstition. It is about reclaiming your power. When you've seen the truth, when the light of your awareness has illuminated this energetic anchor, the next question is, how do you remove it without getting drawn back into the old fight? You will, because you are not just an Aries, you are the fire that purifies. And in the next part, I will walk you through the first decisive action: cleansing, not with anger, but with sovereign power. Cleansing does not mean destruction. For you, Aries, a soul born of pure fire and divine will, cleansing is a sacred act of reclaiming sovereignty. It is not a bitter farewell. It is a declaration of independence. It is a ritual of power, of cutting energetic cords with gratitude for the lesson in strength you have learned. Dear Aries, you have fought so many battles. You have held on to relics of the past, not out of sentimentality, but as proof that you survived. You kept mementos of difficult times as reminders to never be that weak again. But believe me, true strength isn't found in holding on to old battle scars. True strength is knowing you are so powerful now, you no longer need the reminders. Letting go is the ultimate power move. I once guided an Aries friend through a very simple yet profound ritual. He had kept a box of old journals from his 20s, a time filled with struggle, self-doubt, and failed projects. He didn't keep them to read them, but he felt throwing them away was like erasing his history. In truth, those journals were anchoring him to a version of himself he had long outgrown. I told him to do one thing: build a bonfire, safely of course, a true Aries ritual, hold the box of journals and say, with all the power in his heart, 3 times, "Thank you for the fire you forged in me. I release you now." No need for anger. No need to reread the painful words. Just breathe and release them to the flames. He burned them, not to forget, but to transmute the energy of struggle into the energy of pure, liberated power. The next day, he landed the biggest client of his career. Aries, your cleansing rituals don't need to be complicated. They need to be decisive. The most important thing is to be fully present in your power. No hesitation, no second guessing. Just pure, focused intention. Try this ritual in a way that honors your fiery spirit. Choose a time when you feel most powerful. Place the object you are cleansing before you. Stand over it, like a warrior claiming victory. Light a red candle, symbolizing your passion, your power, and your fire. Place your hand over the object, not touching it, but feeling its energy one last time. Close your eyes and say with unshakable conviction, "The lesson is learned. The battle is won. I reclaim all of my energy and I release you from my sacred space. You no longer have power here." If it's something you can burn, let the fire transform it. If not, wrap it decisively in a black cloth, symbolizing the end of its influence, and remove it from your house immediately. Do not keep it in the garage or the car. Remove it from your energetic field entirely. After the ritual, clap your hands loudly 3 times to shatter any remaining stagnant energy, and wash your hands in cold water to seal your intention. Feel the surge of power returning to you. That's it. No drama needed. Just you and your sovereign will. This is not just a space cleansing ritual. This is how you reclaim your life force. Before we move on to the incredible transformation that awaits, I want to ask you something. If what I am sharing is igniting a fire in your soul, leave a sign, a lightning bolt emoji, a comment saying, "I am sovereign," or simply hit that like button, so the universe knows you are officially reclaiming your throne. Beloved Aries, we don't erase the past. We conquer it by moving forward. And only when you clear the battlefield of old relics can your new empire truly be built. You deserve to remember a past struggle from a place of power, not pain. You deserve to be free. When you finally remove that anchor, can you feel the rightness of it? Can you feel your power returning? That's the difference. You are not just surviving, you are preparing to thrive. The right to live again, not just fight again, is your divine birthright. And then, the true miracle begins to happen. Not some floaty, ethereal magic, but a real, tangible shift. You breathe deeper. You sleep with a sense of purpose. You suddenly get a brilliant idea for that project that was stalled. The universe begins to respond because you have made space. And power, like nature, abhors a vacuum. The light knows exactly where to rush in when a space has been cleared by a warrior's hand. You are not just cleaning your house, you are preparing your throne room for the return of the king, the queen, the true sovereign, you. And what happens next is a rebirth of love, money, and light on a scale you have only dreamed of. When you clear the energetic debris of old battles, a new chapter of victory begins. A rise into a new cycle of prosperity starts with this one powerful act. Every object you own carries an energetic frequency. For you, Aries, this is critical. You are ruled by Mars, the planet of action, energy, and conquest. When your space is cluttered with objects that vibrate with failure, stagnation, or control, it is like trying to drive a Ferrari through thick mud. Clearing your space doesn't just ease your mind, it clears the path for your finances to charge forward. Financial energy for you is about momentum and the thrill of the win. It can only flow when you are brave enough to release anything that represents a loss. Did you know that every item you keep from a failed business venture, a bad investment, or a job you hated is like an open energetic wound, slowly leaking your prosperity power? Money, like a victory, needs a clear, unobstructed path. I once worked with an Aries man who was a stock trader. For 2 years, he had been in a slump, making impulsive, losing trades. When I visited his home office, I saw nothing out of the ordinary until I noticed a small, framed stock certificate on his wall. It was from the very first company he had ever invested in. A company that had gone spectacularly bankrupt, wiping out his initial savings. He kept it, he said, to remind myself to never be that naive again. I looked at him and said, gently, "My friend, you have literally framed your first failure and hung it in your temple of prosperity. You are not reminding yourself to be smart. You are commanding the universe to constantly repeat the energy of that initial devastating loss." He took it down, and in a truly Aries fashion, he shredded it. Not with anger, but with a laugh. A laugh of liberation. 2 weeks later, he called me. A stock he had almost given up on had skyrocketed. But more importantly, he said, "I feel my instincts are sharp again. I'm not trading from a place of fear anymore." Aries, that is what I want you to understand. Money doesn't just come from what you do, it comes from the energy you embody. You might be keeping an old, worn-out wallet given to you by someone who was always broke. You keep it because you think it's frugal, but every time you touch it, you are connecting with an energy of lack. That very little thing is what's blocking a karmic reset. Love is also a battlefield you are meant to win. But you cannot truly attract a partner who matches your fire if a shadow of a past love still lingers. And that shadow is often held in an object, an old photograph, a piece of clothing, a gift from an ex who tried to dim your light. In psychology, this is the open door effect. You think you've moved on, but you've left a door cracked open to the past, and it's creating a draft of cold, old energy in your heart. I once worked with a magnificent Aries woman who couldn't understand why she kept attracting passive partners she had to fix. In her bedroom, on her nightstand, was a small, chipped ceramic bird, a gift from her first love, who had been deeply troubled and dependent on her. She had rescued him, and that bird symbolized her role as the savior. I asked her, if you truly loved yourself as a powerful queen, would you want a partner who sees you as a queen, or one who needs you as a medic? She finally put the bird away. A month later, she met a man who was her equal in every way, strong, independent, and completely in awe of her fire, not in need of it. True love doesn't come from absence, it comes from readiness. And you are only truly ready when you no longer let an old object stir in you feelings of a battle you have to keep fighting. Love needs space, passion, and a heart that has declared itself whole and victorious. Dear Aries, let yourself be free. Not to forget the old battles, but to remember who you are now. The victor. You were not born to live in the past. You were born to conquer the future and to love with a passion that inspires the world. This journey of cleansing is the hardest part of your healing. Not because it hurts, but because it requires you to face the truth you have avoided. The person who left this energetic anchor in your home might be someone you once cared for, or even a past version of yourself you've been unwilling to release. But now, you know. You are not wrong for having kept these things. You just know now that you no longer need them. Forgiveness, for an Aries, is the ultimate power move. It is the end of an energetic attachment. It is you telling the universe, I no longer need this pain to remind me of my strength. I am strength. And that forgiveness begins with the decisive act of clearing. When you put down that object, when you burn that old journal, when you remove that gift from your space, you are not just leaving behind a physical item. You are leaving behind an entire timeline, a version of you who was imprisoned by a past defeat. And in that very moment, you are reborn. Not from scratch, but from the ashes, with a heart that is brighter, a will that is stronger, and a spirit that is ready to receive the magnificent victories the universe has always held for you. Dear Aries, you are ready. Thank you, my beautiful warriors, for walking with me to the final, powerful moments of this journey. Thank you for listening with your courageous hearts, wherever you are in the world. Whatever battle you feel you are fighting, please remember this: you are not alone. The universe is responding to your will. The light is rushing back to fuel your fire, and you, through your courageous healing, are creating a future worthy of your magnificent soul. I wish you always have enough fire to take action, enough courage to release the past, and enough love for yourself to begin again, this time as the undisputed sovereign of your own life. If this video has ignited something within you, leave a comment, share your declaration of power, because perhaps another Aries warrior out there needs to see your fire to remember their own. And if you believe you deserve this victory, click subscribe so we can meet again on these cosmic journeys of empowerment.